Two historians have verified for me, come in and told me, informed me actually, once I opened the shop that in my speakeasy downstairs, I have a 3,500 square foot speakeasy below this place, that it was once a card room during Prohibition, and Al Capone, to get away from the feds in San Francisco on his West Coast trips, would come up here to play cards and drink, and he was here a couple times drinking. There was a brothel upstairs, and it was a street of quite dynamics and dark figures in those times, and I believe there was probably people killed in my basement. So Petaluma was the chicken capital of the world for a number of years, as well as the arm wrestling capital, the ugly dog contest capital. It has a number of titles that go with it. It was the chicken capital of the world in respects that Prohibition came around. And before Prohibition, Petaluma, the area from Petaluma down to Highway 37 that leads over to Vallejo, actually had more grapes planted than Sonoma and Napa combined, and was the original wine country. When the European settlers first settled here, they found that they found the cold weather, the fog that came in, would allow for longer maturation on the vine, producing better fruit than, say, over the hill with Napa and Sonoma. It gets so hot they can't really do Pinot in the upper parts of those valleys. It's just too hot. Petaluma distinctively has one of the better climates in the world for growing Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Syrah. Its cold weather influences are amazing in what they can do to these varieties and the wine that can be produced from these varieties. We haven't been known as wine country before recent times, and we're now rediscovering, winemakers are rediscovering, and growers are rediscovering how phenomenal the product can be from this region, and what the particular influences are of the geography and the climate here, and the wine is quite fantastic. So.
Well, we bought the land in 1999, and we had been looking for over a year and a half for land that was suitable to plant. And we first planted in 2002, and we had our first harvest in 2005. So we've had 3 harvests now, and we are a family-run vineyard here in the Petaluma GAP.
We purchased this property in 2001. In the summer of '02 was when we planted the majority of the vines. And originally we were just going to have 6 acres of vines and be done with it. Now we've grown to over 10 acres, and we have 5 clones, and we also have about 1,200 olive trees.
We currently have 90 acres under vine here, which does make us one of the larger growers, and we are by far and away the largest winery here in the Petaluma GAP area. We're the vineyard here, one of the first block that was planted, which was planted in '89, was the first vineyard to be planted post-Prohibition in the Lakeville Highway area, kind of the greater Petaluma Valley area. Up until then, this area was pretty much all dairy, grazing land. Well, we're primarily growing Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. It's our main focus. We just got a 94 points for our Precioso Chardonnay.
The parcel that actually the vineyard is on, and actually the winery, has been in my family since the 1860s. My grandparents settled here and actually operated a dairy out of the location where we actually have the tasting room. As far as why and when we started, my wife and I started the vineyard. We took a class at the local Santa Rosa JC in Nights, and got into the viticulture class and learned about the process of planting a vineyard. Then in 2005 was our first year that we produced our own Pinot Noir.
And so this is the garage east version of the Petaluma GAP. This is as pure as it gets. It grows up in the hill, and then we tend it, handcraft it, and then literally harvest it and crush it in the garage here, ferment it, and then press it, barrel it in our little storage room back here. And as you can see, we are now in the bottling stage. It was always a dream when we came to California to have our own vineyard. After helping my father as a kid in England, all the Italians would get all the grapes from the trucks, imported from Italy, and make what we call Dago Red. And so that was always a childhood memory. So when we had the opportunity to buy a house, we wanted somewhere where we can do that. So we found the lot, and that was really the start of it all. So the goal was always to put the vineyard in. And that was back in 2000, and we planted the vineyard, and 3 years later we had our first release. In between that, we collaborated with some local winemakers and growers and formed what we now call the Petaluma GAP.